And I'm like, okay, girlfriend, let's go downstairs and like have some hot cocoa. I don't know, I'm trying to think like the spookiest thing that's happened to me. I don't know. Like the recent events that happened, they were quite spooky, but I did not feel scared. I just felt pissed off. But that stuff that happened when I was younger, that was like weird because it was really observable and like anything. I think I've pushed out of my mind anything I've witnessed on my own, to be honest, because I'm like, it could be in my head. I have a very active imagination. But these are the things that I've witnessed with other people, and it's kind of interesting because this happened with myself, my best friend, and another girl who was our best friend at the time. And they witnessed these things as well. And it's almost like we want to remember that it happened.
Right.
Because it's so unbelievable what did happen. And it's almost like, I don't know if it's like reinforcing a fear or a crazy imaginary tale that some little girls made up or what. But you know how it's all fun to, well and good to have a little play around with the Ouija board.
Oh, yeah.
When you're younger and everything.
Oh,
and maybe you shouldn't because you don't know what you're doing. But I don't remember if I probably wasn't too much messing around with it, but my friend, she kind of fancied herself a bit of a medium.
Mm-hmm.
And so, she's doing this thing where she's like shaking around and talking in a weird voice and stuff like that. And I'm kind of like, that's scary, but I don't buy it. You're actually possessed. Whatever, we'll play around.
Right.
Whatever. But after that kind of experience, some other strange things happened that she could not have faked. It was very weird. And some things are explainable, absolutely.
Right.
But why they happen, when they happen, that's what's eerie, So
it kind of goes beyond the realm of coincidence.
Exactly. You know how like
it's too coincidental.
Yes. Yeah. So shortly after that experience, and this is like happening on the same day kind of thing. We're playing with our new Christmas toys and everything, and my friend has a horse thing, and it's like a horse that walks, and you press a button, and it walks. And she's like, you know what? This thing keeps coming on at night. I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's like a short circuit. Maybe it's just defective. She's like, I took the batteries out.
Oh!
I'm like, that's cool. So, I'm still thinking like, that's spooky. But, maybe she's just making a story.
Right.
Whatever. And then it moves. And I'm like, okay, girlfriend, let's go downstairs and like have some hot cocoa.
Yeah,
let's
get away from the horse.
Let's get away from the spooky horse. Which is horrible because she really wanted this toy. Like,
Trojan horse.
Yep.
Full of ghosts.
Yeah.
The army of ghosts inside.
So we go downstairs, and after this happening, you know how when glass changes temperature too quickly, it breaks.
Breaks, yeah.
We had never experienced anything like that in our life, and that's exactly what happened. We were pouring ourselves some Coca-Cola, but it was just like, why did that have to happen right after that? And it was just sort of like really spooky stuff. And I think the two other girls experienced a little more activity than I did, because I guess, I don't know, I think I'm just stubborn. And things might happen, and I'm just like, yeah, nah.
Right, right.
Like I said, if somebody else isn't there with me, I don't even.
You just dismiss
we just didn't even go there. Yeah. But I think what the spookiest thing for me was, because I was starting to get like quite scared.
Right.
And one night, now this I do remember on my own, and I don't have any witnesses. It was the first time I experienced sleep paralysis, which is a completely normal phenomenon.
Right.
But it's a little spooky if you're in your room and you're seeing shadows on the wall.
Right.
And you can't move and you don't know what's wrong and all these spooky things are happening.
Had you experienced it before that?
No. Never.
Oh, God,
yeah.
that's
So
the
of course
worst.
I didn't know like
Right.
what's in my head. So I'm like lying in bed and I'm just going like repeating like Our Father's in my head, you know, just like, oh my God, what is happening? And like I did actually like feel like just a bit of calm and a voice being like, you know, calm. And then I could move again. But I was like, I'm not messing with this anymore. This is over. So I drew the thing that was scaring me. And I drew some things in the past that had scared me. And they're very vivid, scary drawings coming from this 11-year-old girl. And I go, here, Mom, Dad, these are the things that scare me at night. And they're like there was like no, even like, I mean, no hesitation. It's just like, right, I'm going to go show this to your dad now, okay? And you just stay here. And okay, my dad immediately reacts to this. We have a little meeting in the hallway, and he's like, Marren, we're gonna get rid of these. We're just gonna deal with it. So we go outside. We crumple up the paper. My parents, being their religious persuasion, are, you know, protecting and banishing and, you know, very like prayerfully, you know, protecting me.
Right.
And like,
right.
this is their little girl.
Yeah. You
know? And we're outside, and it's very important that we're outside. So he crumbles up the paper, puts it on the ground, lights it on fire. And you know how paper like naturally burns, and you know, you probably have to light it a few times. It's really tedious.
Yeah.
This did not. This was like flash paper. This was a piece of like typing paper. This was not flash paper. This was not vellum. It wasn't anything special.
Right.
It just goes and spins in wind and disappears. It like immediately turns to ash and is gone.
Wow.
Which is really spooky.
That is
really spooky. But it's like, I felt like if those things weren't real and my parents weren't real, like this really wouldn't happen right in front of my eyes.
Right.
To this day, we do not speak of this. Because in my parents' eyes, it is gone. We are purified from it. That's
the only
spooky
time
stuff.
I've ever witnessed something like that with burning paper, and it just like behaving abnormally and becoming ash like that exponentially and almost disappearing, was making a pact with the deity, a written pact in blood. Ooh. And then burning it afterwards. That's the only time. Any other like magic or ritual work that I've done where I've had to burn something at the end, you know, it was typical how you would expect something to burn, like when I put it in the cauldron. But this, like, my pact was like instantaneous.
Yes. And that's when you see that there's a transference of energy onto a physical thing.
Exactly.
And it's like, that's where, I mean, I guess that's the essence of magic, is using something that is from this physical world and transferring some sort of energy to it.
Yeah. And
then making something happen with it. And that's what you do.
That was also probably one of the most powerful feelings I've ever felt.
What's the other one?
So we've got this written down. So I'll go ahead and segue into this.
Dun, dun, dun.
God, I almost.
Is this the Evergreen Cemetery?
No. Oh. I'm still. I don't know.
That one's so weird. That one's surreal. It's like a dream.
It still feels like. I mean, I can still see those figures. Like they were like gigantic. Like it was like.
Yeah. And it's so weird when you
towers.
When you tell me that story, I don't get the heebie-jeebies like I normally do. I'm just kind of accepting, like, yeah, it's there. Welcome to East Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean it's
a spooky part of town.
Yeah. Well, I was young at that time, but I digress.
Anyway, so pacts.
Spirit boards.
Oh, yeah.
So I went through this little phase where I was trying to expand on my practices and kind of delve into like some traditional but not esoteric practices, or just modernized versions of esoteric practices such as a spirit communication board, like pre Parker Brothers Ouija. Fucking the history behind that is sick.
It's all about your energy and what you're doing with it. It can be Parker Brothers, it's fine, but it can be spooky.
Right. But the history behind the whole Parker Brothers,
really,
like how it came into play and going through the U.S. judicial system,
really,
to become a toy.
Yeah. Well, tarot cards, they're a toy, and they're, the Rider-Waite is sold by U.S. Games.
Well, the board initially,
the Pamela Coleman Smith deck, because I think that she deserves the credit.
Well, the U.S. government had to have a hearing to decide whether it was a spiritual tool for divination purposes or whether it could be sold as a toy. And after, I think, 3 different hearings, the first 2 times it was shut down. They were like, no, this is the devil's work. You cannot, this cannot be reproduced and marketed. You guys are crazy.
I mean, that is my daughter's one rule. No Ouija in the house.
Well, it finally got passed years later, and to this day, that is still why it does not come with instructions.
Really?
They're like, you can sell it as a toy.
But then that's like worse.
But you cannot include instructions.
Cool.
A little bit of history for you. But,
right. Well, that's just, wow.
So.
Okay.
I was making my own boards. I was designing and making them. And
we made our own board when we called up what we called up.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, it is.
But so the girl that I was dating, same girl from the last story in the ranch, she was really excited and wanted to contact a relative, a dead relative, and she was like, I don't really want to do it. I mean, I'll talk to it, the person.
Yeah, but you just don't.
I need, you're more experienced. I need you to bring them through. And, I agreed. I'm like, yeah, of course. But me being me and knowing what I know that that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't just pick out a particular person that's dead and say, I'm going to contact them and they're going to come through.
It doesn't work
because
like that.
They're not. You have no clue unless you are specifically contacting something like a goetic demon, something that you have worked with.
And I feel like that almost has like that group consciousness around it. Like, it's because it is defined by so many people and so many belief systems, it's focused by lots of people.
Right.
But when it's just you going, hey.
Yeah. So, I'm like, well, I know that I can invoke something. I wasn't even trying to evoke anything. I was like, I am going to invoke this particular deity.
Yeah.
Because I want to know some stuff. I need some answers. There's some concerns I have. I'm going to invoke this, and we're going to talk astrally. And, she will have an experience. What it will be, I don't know, because I don't know what's going to happen, because I've, not invoked up the ranks this high using this method and had someone else present. It's like I had done my own stuff in the woods by myself before without a board, but I'd never done this. Mm-hmm. So I proceed, and I remember this face, this like golden face, like almost like, did you ever see the old G.I. Joe cartoons?
Yeah.
So there's
like Cobra.
Destro,
no?
the thing with the silver face.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It was like that, but like imagine really handsome human characteristics on the face and gold, but like glaring. Like you could see the luminescence coming off of, like it was almost blinding, but so like just beautiful and entrancing. Like you feel like it, just looking at it, is you're traveling into another dimension. Just like you feel like you're staring at it, you're focused, but you just feel like everything's moving like at the speed of light.
Whoa.
And it's just this enraptured feeling, and it's just telling me like, chill.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it didn't say chill, but,
Yeah. But
you
got
know,
that
basically
feeling.
it was like, everything is going to be all right.
Yeah.
Just relax. Like, you're going to be fine, I promise.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, you know, I remember that. Like, I remember the feeling. But now, the next thing I remember is I was no longer at the table in the room where we were set up. I was in another room, and we had another friend with us at this point. And I was laying on the floor, and I'm just like, I felt like I was like I'd eaten 2 or 3 pills. Like, I felt like I was rolling my ass off. Like, and they're looking at me like, holy shit, and they're asking me if I'm okay.
Yeah.
And you know, the girl is still like this, and she's like, I don't know what to think right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I feel so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
But so I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, why are we not in the other room? And she was like, she's like, I followed you. She was like, I watched you for a while. She was like, I tried to bring you out of it. She was like, finally you just got up and started walking around, so I followed you. Well, she said that while I was wherever I was, we had lit a candle at each end of the table. We had incense burning. The room, there was all the doors were shut, all the windows were shut. There was no heat or air on. The atmosphere, it was completely still. Because I mean, that is the only way you can really know what's going on. But she said, like, my eyes went completely in the back of my head. Like, she said my eyes were just solid white. She said all the candles, all the flames, all went the same, like, all leaned to the side at the same time, and were just kind of like shooting out sideways, and the incense smoke was like doing this like design like pulse.
Yeah.
It just started like it was on a loop, and it
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
she said how that
seen that
happened, and
before.
she said that my hands were over the board like this, and the planchet was mirroring my hands, but I wasn't touching it. Like, you know, here, see where the mouth, like my hands were like that, and that's the planchet. My hands are like this, and the planchet was doing the same thing. And she said that went on for like a good 10 minutes. And she said near the end, the tears were streaming down my face, and I was just sitting there shaking.
Whoa.
And she said,
but this is like the whole time that you were feeling the gold face and the good feelings and everything.
Right.
So that's like, see, when you're telling me this, like, it sounds spooky and uncomfortable, but I'm not heebie-jeebing over it.
No, I mean,
this is like a good thing.
But if you didn't know that that's what I was experiencing,
Of
and you're
course.
sitting there seeing something
You're a little freaked out.
like this and watching the things happen in the room,
Yeah.
like,
That is
especially you have no
yeah.
experience with it whatsoever. But yeah, then, you know, she said she tried to touch me a couple of times, and then I just started shaking worse. And so she started crying, so she was kind of freaking out. And she said then, you know, it's just like the candles went out, I stood up and walked out of the room, so she started following me. And then I just went and sat down in the room where my other friend was, and just laid on the floor and started rubbing all over myself.
That's awesome.
And later that night, we snuggled up, you know, we were going to sleep. She said in the middle of the night, I had her hair wrapped around my hand, and I was like kind of leaned up on my side with my hand on her arm, and I was all up in her ear, and she said I was talking in Enochian, like super fast.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that, like, I don't have any recollection of that. But she said that, you know, it was definitely some kind of ancient language like Enochian or Aramaic or something of that nature. But she said that I was just super fast, and that it wasn't gibberish. It was it was definite, like, syllables and shit. But that I was like, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
So that was, I don't know, that was kind of cool.
That is pretty cool. So that just reminded me of like the candle thing. So the first time I witnessed some sort of spooky candle stuff was around the time that the thing that my friend called up and everything. And this was like what was weird. It's like we all kind of meet on the playground and we're like, what is going on? Like it's proper 80s horror movie style, you know. we're like on the playground. It's like, this is happening, and that's happening, and da-da-da, and having nightmares and thinking this. And we all knew what it looked like, and we all knew what it was called.
Mm.
And we gave it a nickname, and I don't even want to say its nickname. Like, because I believe in names, and
The power
how
of names,
I
yeah.
feel about a name is not. So we won't even go there. So anyways, we're chilling.
I don't know. I got some weird energy going on in this room. Like we could.
I know, yeah, but I this is not the way I feel personally about this.
No, I'm saying the name maybe.
No, I won't because I feel like it's dead, it's gone, it's past.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not bringing it up, but
fair enough.
I will tell you some spooky stuff. So we're doing our thing, and I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I made some mistakes back then. I told you about last time we were hanging out about that spell. I can't break. Don't know how. It's unfortunate, but yeah. So we're sitting around, and we got some candles. And we had heard about that thing where you ask the questions and the candles and the flicks of the candles and stuff like that. So we're doing that. And I think that it's a great idea that we all sit around in a circle with our hands up like this with a little bit of space in between each other's hands. I just think that's a great way to make some sort of like, I don't know, spiritual biodynamic generator of some sort. Right. So we're hanging out and I'm like, you guys, this is what we're going to do. And so after doing that for a little bit, and somehow we roped our little sisters into this as well. And we're all hanging out, and the air between, the space between our hands is hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. But that's just like a generator works.
Right.
You know? Or just like a flywheel on a scooter. Like it's got the magnets. Talking about magnets earlier and stuff. Yeah, so there's the candle, and we're asking the questions. And the candle is responding in an appropriate way. I don't remember what the questions were, but I think we probably asked, are you this? Have you been following us? Is this your work?
Mm.
And it's like, so what's freaky is not the candle responding, because I think that that's a pretty normal thing.
Right.
I think that that's a pretty standard way of divination, and I think personally that it's your own energy that you're finding, because I think if we're connected to the things that we know, the answers within ourselves. Yeah. So, anyways, this is what's weird. No explanation for this whatsoever. Instead of the wax dripping down vertically, or pooling, or one side of the candle melting away and not the other, like other normal candle melting. No, it goes off to the side, about that far away from the candle itself. I don't know how that happened. And some of the girls said it formed the figure of a hanged man. I don't know about that. I think that might be a stretch, but I definitely know that
I
was
can
not
see that. I can
normal.
see it. Yeah, that's not normal. Oh God.
That's not normal. That's a chilly moment. Yeah.
Okay, when you say that, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. Why do little girls do that, though? I mean, we all do it. It's like we turn 11 or 12 or something, we're like, let's be witches. And we just start messing with stuff we shouldn't mess with.
I
don't know why.
I did the same thing.
Why? It's
like
just a curiosity.
If I had the knowledge I have now when I was like 11.
Yeah, no way.
It's like I was messing with shit that I didn't understand at that time. I didn't know what I was doing. It's like I knew how to do it, but I didn't know exactly what it was, what the ramifications were going to be, what was going to happen. I just knew this is the route to get.
It's the level of responsibility that you don't quite understand. But the actual practice of the spellcraft is usually really legit.
Right. But, I didn't understand it back then. I just knew that it was real, and I knew that I could make things happen.
Yeah.
And
that seems pretty cool when you feel like a powerless kid.
Yeah, but then when you end up terrifying yourself because you don't understand what you just did or how to undo it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, so speaking of that, so at a very early age, I experienced astral projection
Whoa.
on many occasions.
Yeah.
And like I knew it was real. Like I didn't understand it, but I knew it happened, and eventually I learned through repeated process and remembering specific things, like to the point of how I could initiate it at will rather than it being like it just happening. I didn't understand why it was happening, but later on in life, I talked to my mother about it, and my mother also could astral project, and she had been doing it since she was young.
Whoa.
But she never told me specifically what she was into, like in childhood and like early teenage years. But she said, I've been down that road.
Right.
She said, I've messed with stuff. I used to be into some stuff. But she would never like tell me like what she studied. She said I had all the books, and
Yeah.
she was
doesn't.
Right, but she got saved and reborn and
Yeah.
all that. Something scared her. Something scared her to back to religion because like she has been.
I know. I've met her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I can't have a conversation with her to this day without getting a minimum 10 minutes of Jesus.
Yeah.
But
I mean, look at you.
well, yeah. I mean, she knows. She knows. She's not stupid. But yeah, it just makes me wonder, like, if that's something that's like a calling to my family. Like, I don't know that much about my family.
Yeah, and well,
like, could the lineage go back to like, practitioners for like since the Dark Ages?
No, it's
Something
possible.
that just inherently is within us, and like that it calls at a certain time in our life.
That would make sense.
Because I don't know if my grandfather.
No, it's
had
just
ever,
the grandfather that we tried to find his grave the other day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and I've got like things from kind of both sides, completely different things.
Right.
But like my mom's side, they have like psychic dreams, communicate with each other through their dreams to say goodbye when they're passing because they're oceans apart. That kind of thing. My mom would go out for the day. This was before cell phones, obviously. This is back in the 60s. And she'd come home and her dad would just be like, "Oh, how did you find that blue cardigan you were looking for at the department store?" And she didn't say anything to him about it, but he knew that that's
what she was looking for.
Or how was that soda you had at the soda shop? He would just know. And he could read cards. Like, he knew what the cards were when they were turned over. So he would play poker and always win.
Wow.
So he would never bet. Because that wouldn't be fair.
I mean, maybe that.
You could be really good card counting.
Because what if that was like a gift he had specifically to help him succeed in life, and he was supposed to use it to make money but didn't because he felt like he wasn't supposed to, and all this time he had this gift to make all this money to make his life better
And
for him and his
that's where I
family.
think like your path and like others' paths is a little bit different, because I think other people have almost like a guilt about serving themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people have a guilt about serving themselves. We're taught not to.
Right.
We're really taught not to. And it's not, I don't think it even goes against some things, because sometimes serving yourself actually serves the whole as well.
Because if you're not whole, how can you help other people?
Yeah, no, it's totally like put your own oxygen mask on first, kind of thing. Yeah, it makes sense. But I got this the other side of my family, like from my grandfather. Now, he didn't seem spooky at all. Nothing spooky about him. He had a great sense of humor. He was a funny guy, terrific. But when he passed, I wasn't here. I was the only grandchild that he did not say goodbye to. He like waited for everybody else, but I was in England, and he passed. My sister called me, and I'm like, okay. So I came home. I'm walking through the woods. Not the woods. Walking through, well, they used to be woods, but over there in the neighborhoods behind my parents' house.
Right.
So I'm walking, and it's the daytime, and I see a Luna moth on the side of a tree in the daytime on eye level-ish. And, oh, no. What it was on the ground. So I'm like, okay, Luna moth daytime, on the ground, this is weird, I'm going to go check it out. So I saw it, and it had been really badly injured. It was going to die,
Oh my God.
you know, or maybe like it had been attacked by something. So I'm like, okay, well, you know. So I tried to put it back on a tree because I felt like it would be more comfortable there.
Right.
Really strange. And I put it back on the tree, and then it fell down. So I picked it back up and tried to put it on the tree again, and it just wouldn't crawl off my hand like it did the first time. It just stayed on my hand. And I'm like, well, okay, I've got a moth on my hand. So I walk back to my parents' house, and I'm like, kind of like, you know, these are your last moments in life. I hope you pass with peace, and here we go. I'm just gonna pretend to fly on my hand. You know, I'm just being my hippy dippy self, walking home with the moth on my hand. I come home and I'm like, look, I got a moth. It's so... But then I realized that it was, I don't know if it was my grandfather, but it was some sort of symbol from somewhere saying goodbye, because I was the only one he couldn't say goodbye to.
Huh.
And I think I read somewhere that some folklore sort of thing is like if you see a white moth, it's the spirits of your loved ones or something. But that was just a very, very conspicuous moth.
Yeah.
Very conspicuous. And for it to like, it didn't run away from me. It wanted to be with me, or it was too weak to move. I don't know, you know, but it just was.
No, but I mean, that,
spooky.
It does make sense, though.
Yeah.
It makes total sense. Like,
Yeah.
I would probably, in that circumstance, draw the same conclusion.
Yeah, that's what it felt like, you know.
Right.
And whatever it was, but you know, even if it was a coincidence that just made me feel at peace about the whole situation, cool, you know. But I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big coincidence.
Yeah. No, I would, like I said, I would definitely think the same thing.
Yeah.
So I ended up finding my grandfather.
Yeah, you said.
That messed me up more than the actual funeral for my grandmother.
Really?
Like, I was, everything was great. Well, so my first cousin, my mom's brother's daughter, we've always been pretty close, except for the past few years, because I've been, you know, reclusive and just detached from everything, especially family, which is, I have no explanation for it, just aside from being dead inside. But so, you know, seeing her was awesome because I haven't seen her in years. You know, she's married now, she's got 2 kids, but she still seems like my little cousin.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's like she hasn't, her nor her mother, you know, her mom's like, I guess almost my mom's age, but I mean, it looks like neither one of them have aged at all since the last time I saw them. Like,
I mean, your mom's a heavy smoker. You got good genes. I've met her before, and she doesn't look her age at all.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking like my cousin's mom looks like
even younger.
Right.
Yeah.
But so she got like when she used to visit my grandmother when my grandmother was up in Virginia, where she died. You know, she's in this like really nice retirement, like assisted living community. Is like super nice. But you know, my cousin Jan and my mom would go up there, and my cousin Aaron would come and hang out. You know, who was also my grandmother's granddaughter. And they'd sing together. Like, they both loved to sing. You know, Aaron's a professional singer, and my grandmother,
that's cool.
You know, has been singing all of her life, mostly like, you know, hymns and old bar songs from the 1920s. But she got up to sing at the funeral, and she was so choked up. Like, I didn't think she was gonna be able to do it, but she did it, and she sang beautifully, and it was amazing. But that was the only time that, like, I had to, like, really fight tears. And it was just more that whole empath, feeling her energy, like, and knowing that messed me up. But then, afterwards, going across the street to the burial, I was fine. And then I looked at my grandfather's headstone. And just seeing his name on that headstone destroyed me inside.
Really?
Like, I don't know what happened or why, but I lost it.
Really?
Like, you know, I'm upset that, well, I'm not upset that my grandmother died. I mean, it was her time. She passed how she wanted to. It's all good. Like I'm not
Yeah.
like hurt about that. But seeing my grandfather, just seeing his name, it devastated me. Like just like this overwhelming feeling of loss, and he's been dead for like 22 years.
Wow.
But I mean, it was just weird. I mean, I still have dreams about him.
Yeah.
Regularly.
And like the thing about like the ghost that you and your mom saw and how it just poof when he appeared.
Remember when we were standing outside the mausoleum and we were looking at the sign?
Yeah.
One of my grandmother's 3 brothers is in the mausoleum. I found that out at the funeral.
Right. Now, in the mausoleum, is that where people keep their ashes, or are their bodies just kind of on trays?
I don't know.
What is a mausoleum?
You think we would
know?
We would know
But we
this.
don't know
We
this.
don't know
No.
this. I mean, it could be both.
I kind of want to be cremated because then
I feel like it's body. If it's a mausoleum, I feel like it's
bodies. I mean, it's really big.
Because ashes, I feel like you
Would keep it home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the fact that yes, a mausoleum is so big.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. Anyways, I'm tired.
Fair enough.
And it's past my bedtime. Nothing spooky happened.
It is like nothing spooky.
No, only like the crystal that I put there. I was like, that's gonna fall down. But then your cat just came by and was like,
yeah, cat's
so
like
we
that's
didn't.
a crystal.
We didn't. I don't think we saw anything too spooky.
No.
Of course, they didn't talk about the recent events because I won't talk about them.
Right.
Because that was not a ghost. And we are telling ghost stories this evening about ghosts.
Ghosts! Ghosts!
No, still nothing's gonna happen. Even if we make fun of it, it's not gonna happen. You know. I think we put some really good like, don't mess with us vibes on it. Yeah.
I think
we did.
so.
We were like, get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did good.
Yeah, we did good.
I really believe that we were going to experience some like scary stuff, but I think I initially effed that all up at the very beginning.
I know because you were like, it's gonna happen.
Something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my bad.
No, I don't think so. And we kind of went into telling the ghost stories like, we're gonna tell the ghost stories. We're not gonna bring the ghosts up. I think we were pretty clear that we didn't want to bring those things up.
Right.
Just didn't want to. Because you like
I mean, I low-key
hearing.
kind of wanted to.
Me too, yeah. I know.
God, I'm so glad I didn't have a drink in my mouth.
That's the perfect one, though.
Dude, that dry air burned my nose.
Oh, somebody needs to put that in a horror movie. Because that's good. Have you seen Veronica?
I don't think so.
Well, okay. It's spooky and it's creepy and it's messed up. But it's like, I don't know, some of the tones of it, like, because in every horror movie you have like the reinforcement of the idea of the family unit, mom, dad, kids, all kind of thing. And you know, it's like, oh, well, maybe these girls wouldn't have been messing around with Ouija boards had her mom not been working all the time and da-da-da-da-da, but yeah, you know, that kind of thing. Okay, yeah. But apparently it's a true story.
Oh.
Apparently. My friend that I watched the movie with, he was like, I stayed up all night researching it. It's true.
I feel like I need to see this now.
Yeah, you might. I think I want to do the research about it, but it's like apparently it's like a place you can visit in Spain where this really
in Spain
horrific. What? Inside we can't visit it.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Hey, but at least we got some notorious haunted places in North Carolina.
We do.
There's a bunch.
There are. Well, there's the spookiest one because there's a really good book called, I think it's just called North Carolina Ghost Stories, but it's got quite a few. You know, do you have it?
I forget the name of the book. Oh my God, it might be the book you're talking about, but one of the stories in the book is about the house next door to my great grandmother's house.
Don't tell me
And
it's in Chesterfield. But that's South Carolina. not
no,
North
no,
Carolina.
it's on 35th Street.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's go there.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we should.
That's not so far from my house.
No, we'll ride by there.
We can ride by.
But,
we can be like, sup, ghost!
But there's a story in that book about families moving in and out of that house. That there was a
Yeah.
rocking chair in the attic, and I forget how the story goes. I have to research it, but you know, I remember reading about it when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and you know, seeing the picture, and I'm like, dude, that's there. That's right there. Like literally,
Like across the street.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, my grandmother was like, yeah, oh my God, it is. And you know, my great grandmother like totally verified the story. She's like, oh yeah, we so many neighbors, you know, there's this chair in the attic, and you know, started like telling me different things that neighbors had told her, and I'm like,
Yeah. You know, that's funny. I didn't know your family was from North Charlotte before.
Mhm.
And then we both end up in East Charlotte. I don't know if that's funny.
Yep.
Maybe just house prices, class, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, my family grew up over on, remember my dad's parents, they were over on Robinson Circle. It's off of Atondo.
okay,
So they walked up Tryon to
right,
36 to go into the Noda area.
yeah. I think the first house that, okay, so my grandmother and grandfather, the first house they lived in was on the plaza,
Mm-hmm.
and one of my grandmother's sisters and her husband bought a house directly across the street
Yeah.
on the plaza, and it's that strip of the plaza right between like Central and Parkwood where it's like
Yeah.
all the
Oh,
trees
yeah,
and it's like
yeah,
real
yeah,
nice looking.
Yeah.
Like my grandmother and her sister, you know, and their husbands
Yeah.
lived across the street from each other, and
That's
that's
crazy.
about
So
the extent of that
our
story.
families have actually lived in the same neighborhoods for a couple generations.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because after my Mimi left North Charlotte, when she had my dad and everything, they went over to Chantilly, the shack by the tracks. They were on.
My mother lived
Yeah.
in Chantilly. I was born in Chantilly on Lorna Street.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I was born there.
I lived on Pecan.
Yeah.
When I was a baby.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna see if maybe your mom is like in my dad's yearbook or something. Where did she go?
I think she went to Cochrane and
Yeah.
Garinger.
Yeah, that's where he went.
Wow.
Whoa.
See, my uncle, he also went to Cochrane and Garinger, but there was like this whole weird bus thing that happened.
Yeah.
And then I ended up, when it was my turn to go to high school, I ended up at West fucking Charlotte.
So weird.
It's like Garinger is in walking
I know.
distance.
You can hear the marching band.
Yeah, it's like I could have walked to high school, but no. They send me clear over to the west side of fucking Charlotte.
But you know where I went to high school?
No.
Northwest.
Oh, yeah,
Down
that's
the
right.
street from West Charlotte. Of course, we were at different times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because
Because you would have been graduating right when I started
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Huh.
That's crazy.
Weird. We're like family.
Oh my God. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this, please hit the big red button below and subscribe, because I need subscribers desperately. I'm begging, like a beggar. Just do it. Show some love and support and some comments. Thank you for watching again. Until the next video.